Coming up on Business Live tonight, Ghana's telecom industry set for a shakeup as the National Communications Authority prepares to regulate how often mobile network operators can adjust their tariffs. Also in this bulletin, will Ghana really risk losing more than $3 billion in World Bank support if President Akufo-Addo goes ahead to sign the anti-LGBTQ bill into law? We shall be analyzing this assertion by the Ministry of Finance with an economist. Plus, government borrowed 24 billion cedis via Treasury Bills in February 2024 as yields continue to nosedive. We have details of these and many others arranged for you. Please stay. Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojo Baka. We can now take a look at our stories. Ghana's telecom industry is set for a shakeup as the National Communications Authority prepares to regulate how often mobile network operators can adjust their tariffs. Now, this move comes specifically in response to the dominance of MTN Ghana, designated as a significant market power in 2020. There is more in the following reports.
Ghana's telecom industry is set for a shakeup as the National Communications Authority prepares to regulate how often mobile money operators can adjust their tariffs. This move comes specifically in response to the dominance of MTN Ghana, designated as a significant market power in 2020. Traditionally, the NCA has allowed mobile money network operators to set their prices. However, MTN's market share exceeding 75% across voice, data, SMS, mobile money and revenue has triggered intervention under Section 25 of the Electronic Communications Act, Act 775. This section empowers the NCA to regulate prices when a single dominant player engages in anti-competitive practices. The NCA has previously accused MTN of violating SMP rules by offering lower priced data bundles compared to competitors to ensure fair, reasonable and non-exploitative pricing, particularly from significant market power or dominant operators.
Now, the depreciation of the Cedi has again been cited as one of the major reasons for the increase in fuel prices at the pumps. Now, the oil marketing companies on Saturday began increasing fuel prices. George Yafe tells us more.
Among the top 5 oil marketing companies that control more than 50% of the market, diesel has gone up by at least 1 cedi per litre, whilst petrol is doing almost a cedi. Some of the oil marketing companies have also told Joy Business that the rising prices of crude oil on the international market has also been another major factor. The increases from last Friday by the oil companies could be described as one of the biggest increments in recent times on the local market. This is coming after another significant increase from the middle of last month. From this morning, for instance, you're likely to pay 14 Ghana cedis, 49 pesos per litre for diesel and 13 cedis, 49 pesos for petrol. But for some of the market watchers, they don't want to buy the argument that it is only the city's depreciation and rising crude prices as the major factors for this increment. They maintain that the recent increase in margins and levies by the National Petroleum Authority for the various petroleum products by at least 9 pesos should be seen as another major reason for this increment. This development, together with the emission tax, could strengthen the hands of commercial drivers to push for an increase in fares in the coming days. We should also not forget about the impact of this on the cost of living and even inflation in the coming weeks.
All right, so let's get on to Zoom and speak to the head of economic regulation at the National Petroleum Authority, Abbas Ibrahim Tasunti. Thanks so much, Abbas, for your time here on Business Life, and good to see you once again. Now, from the National Petroleum Authority's perspective, I would want you to help us appreciate what goes into adjustment of prices of petroleum products.
Okay, good afternoon. And the changing of petroleum product prices is influenced by a number of factors. As we are all aware, we have a formula that is used to determine petroleum product prices. And this formula has a number of components. One of the components is the world market price. and then the cost of landing the products here in Ghana before adding other costs, and then the exchange rate is applied. After that, we have the local taxes and the levies, and then there are certain margins in the price build-up as well. So if you look at these components, the components that change on a regular basis is the world market price and the exchange rate. So if you notice, the National Petroleum Authority on a regular, actually on a daily basis, publishes what we call the petroleum price indicators, which gives you the changes in the world market price and the changes in the exchange rate, because these are the factors that change every day and therefore influence the direction of the pump prices. But the taxes, the levies, and the margins, they hardly change. They are changed every now and then when there is the need. If you look at the taxes, for example, they haven't changed in over 2 years. And then the statutory margins, as we have them, if you look at what we call the UPPF margin, which is to pay for the distribution of products from depots to the retail outlets, the primary distribution margin, which pays for movement of products from the across depots. These margins don't change on a regular. So the most volatile components of the formula, which is the world market price and the exchange rate, are the key indicators of the direction of prices. So when they go up on the world market, you see that our prices on the market in Ghana will also go up, because we have a deregulated industry where government does not influence or determine the price of petrol. It is purely influenced by the movements in these factors.
Great education, Tasmunti. But how do you respond to arguments that if the National Petroleum Authority had not increased the margin and levies last month, we would have witnessed a significant increase? So it is really fair to blame the Cedi and the crude prices going up alone as factors, you would say?
So I think these margins, as I mentioned, are components of the formula, so they add up to them. If you take out the margins, for example, from the price build-up, the price today will come down because that margin is part of it. But it doesn't mean that if you take out the margin, the prices will not move anyway, because the prices, as I said, the direction is influenced by changes on the world market and the exchange rate. I think what's important for us to understand is what the role of these margins are. The margins that were increased recently, they've been reduced before. So for us to increase these margins, it means there's a need for us to increase it. As I explained, the margins that were increased recently, the primary distribution margin, this is what pays for the cost of transporting products from the depot across the depots. Without these margins, you cannot pay for the cost of transportation. And this is likely to cause shortages. Sometimes you hear the transporters saying they'll go on demonstrations or strikes if their transport rates or freight rates are not increased. It's these margins that pay for these freight rates. So NPA would only revise these margins. And these margins, I would say that there's an inter-stakeholder committee that determines these margins, made up of the NPA itself, the ministry, the transporters themselves, and the Association of Oil Marketing Companies. They are all on this body that determines the UPPF margin and the primary distribution margin. So they are only increased when there's a need to increase them. We don't increase them every now and then. So these margins are necessary to ensure the efficient distribution of petroleum products. Mind you, without the margins, it means we will not be able to efficiently distribute petroleum products. And we might have pockets of shortages in certain parts of the country, which we don't want. So availability of petroleum products is very, very important. And therefore, the margins are not just increased because we want to increase them. If you look at the world market price for petrol, for example, this year, it has increased cumulatively by 9.29% for petrol. Diesel has increased cumulatively by 7.65%. So whether the margins are part of the price build-up or not, the export prices in Ghana will still change because the world market price have increased.
But are you mindful of the impact of these increases on the larger economy? Already, we are seeing transport operators threatening to, increase transport fares come March 7 by some 30%.
Yes, definitely. NPA is very mindful of the impacts of price on the consumer. But we are also very mindful of the fact that the consumer needs to have access to the product. You see, if you don't have the product in the first place, then there's going to be a black market. You might end up even paying more than you're supposed to pay. So like I said, even though we are concerned about price, we are also concerned about ensuring that there's sufficient distribution of the petroleum products. And without the margins being set at the right rate, we will not be able to move the products and there will be shortages. And I'm not sure we would want to have a discussion about shortages because of the dire consequence that would lead to. You remember NPA has in the past even reduced its margins before. If you take the bus margin, for example, the ministry directed us 2 years ago to reduce it from its level of 12 pesos 2 years ago, and it has remained that way until 16th February, when it was restored to the 12 level, 12 pesos. So we have, even before this increment last window, we reduced the margins. We reduced the UPPF margin, for example, to 70 pesos before it was increased recently. So these margins are reduced when there's a need to reduce them, but we want to ensure availability of petroleum products.
Quick one, refresh my memory on that. In the past, there were some proposals to review the taxes and margins on these products. Really, what has become of that?
So when it comes to taxes and levies, it is not within the mandate of MPA to review these taxes and levies because they are determined by the government. And then the government, once it goes to Parliament and Parliament approves them, our work as MPA is only to ensure that these taxes that have been passed by Parliament are in the price build-up as they should be by law. When it comes to the statutory margins, that's where MPA plays a role together with the other stakeholders, like I said. So as and when there's a need for us to review these margins, we do so. So for the statutory margins, they play certain roles, and we only review them when there's a need to. But for taxes and levies, MPA has no control over them. And that's how come in the past, when there has been the need for MPA to reduce some of these margins to cushion the consumer, as much as we could, we did that.
And as it stands now, it appears the consumer is going to bear the brunt from all of these. But from the National Petroleum Authority's perspective, what needs to be done to manage these increases? Because the outlook is really not good at all in terms of prices.
So you see, as NPA, our role is mainly to ensure, first of all, that we protect the supply of the petroleum products and also protect the consumer. So with respect to how the prices change, we also have to ensure that the petroleum price build-up is used, the formula works. And this formula responds to changes on the world market and the exchange rate. The NPA on its own does not have control over these world market price changes and the exchange rate movement. So our work here is to ensure that the consumer is paying the right price no matter what the movements in the prices are. If any intervention should be made, it means a subsidy, which MPA does not have that control. You remember we've come from a place where we used to have subsidies in the formula before they were taken off in 2015 to ensure availability of petroleum products. So for MPA, our work is to continue to ensure that in view of the changes in the prices on the world market and the movements in exchange rates, the price formula is still used appropriately by the petroleum service providers here, the OMCs and the importers, so that the consumer is paying the right price for the consumer at every point in time. Availability of products, like I said, is very, very of much concern to us. So any intervention that will prevent the products being available is not something we want to cause. So we want to ensure that we monitor the market efficiently so the consumer is protected, the product supply is also protected.
Head of Economic Regulations at the National Petroleum Authority, Abbas Ibrahim Tasunti, we are grateful for your time here on Business Live. One of our headline stories we are following up for you, the Ministry of Finance is warning that the country risks losing more than $3 billion in World Bank support and other funding from Ghana's donors if President Akufo-Addo goes ahead to sign the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill into law. Well, there is more for you in this report. All right, so I'm told we are joined via Zoom by Professor Lord Mensah to speak to us on the subject matter. Thanks so much, sir, for your time here on Business Live. And I don't know your readings to all of these. The Bank of Ghana, I beg your pardon, the Ministry of Finance has come out to justify the reason why President Akufo-Addo needs not to assent to the bill. Really, do they really have a case?
I don't think, let me say good evening to our viewers. I don't think they have a case in a sense that the losses they are talking about are, short-term losses and they're not, long-term. We have to look at the long-term consequence of, this bill, not being assented by the president. Now we're looking at, first of all, I would say it's even a disrespect, for the Ministry of Finance to issue such statement, and then also for the Western, powers to coerce us to accept, this, not to assent this bill before, they can give us, what we deserve, or probably the freebies they've been given to us. Mm-hmm. As an African, this is a Ghana month, isn't it?
It is.
What identifies you as a Ghanaian? There are some core values we respect, and indirectly, those values makes us rich. We don't have to, we don't need monetary, richness to be proud as an African. Let me put it this way: you see, the long-term cost for sacrificing our generations will be at a point in time where the country is importing huge sums of, adult diapers, right? For engaging in those acts. Those are the long-term costs. And then also there's the psychological effect. And then population reduction. The time will come that you're looking for manpower that you may not get it. These are all costs that we may have to look out for if we do not go ahead to, assent this bill by our president. Now, if you take the short term, which is about the 3.8 billion that the Minister of Finance is talking about we're going to lose. In their own document, they've given us a signal that if it does not go in that direction, or the president goes ahead to assent the bill, these are the economic costs. But then there are provisions to it. They've made room by telling us that, okay, we have to leverage on the Ghana Beyond Aid, right? And then we will mobilize revenue internally, enhance revenue mobilization, and then also prioritize our expenditure. And that will even save us more compared to, the $3.8 billion that we are looking for. Again, we need to appreciate that the long-term cost is going to be so high compared to, and it's a generational cost compared to this IMF 3.8 billion, the World Bank 3.8 billion together that we're talking about. They've also attributed, the assenting of that bill to, the IMF program. I can tell you that there's nowhere in the IMF program that LGBTQ is mentioned. But then, if we go ahead, the president goes ahead to assent it, and we're able to do our homework very well, look inwards, and then meet the IMF target, we'll still be enjoying the releases. And so, from where I sit, I don't think, the things they are mentioning will have much impact. You see, it's about time we signal our economic independence as a country. If we don't continue, how long have we been receiving this aid and grants and all those? And make reference to the 2024 budget. You will see that the grant support that we are receiving is just 0.3% of our GDP. That tells you that we can do without it. It's a matter of, reorganizing ourselves at the expenditure side of our budget. It should be able to work well. So I don't think, there's a cause for alarm. In fact, we have to respect ourselves, as Africans. And I will go all out to support the president to assent the bill. We don't have to delay at all.
But here we are with the Finance Ministry's statement. Do you think that government can engage the World Bank and explain its side, just as you've rightly articulated, and still engage or change the minds of the Bretton Woods institutions?
Oh, yeah, they can. The World Bank's money hinges on, our performance with the IMF, if you look at it critically. Like I said earlier, if we're able to assent this bill, we have, our leaders become responsible, right? And by so doing, they cut down unnecessary expenditure, block all leakages here and there. We should be able to, meet those IMF targets. And by so doing, we'll still be getting this World Bank money. But the World Bank money never tied it. They didn't tie it to LGBTQ. They said, if they should go by their own ways, they said once we get an engagement with IMF, they are ready to support us. And in the IMF program, there's nothing like LGBTQ, bill in there. And so I think the statement released by the Ministry of Finance is unfortunate. And in a way, it's quite dehumanizing for you to tell me that I should go and sleep with another man before you can release the freebies money, or a woman should sleep with another woman, or a man should sleep with an animal, or a female should sleep with an animal before you can release money. It's a sign of disrespect. And so from where I sit, I think we need to be proud of ourselves as Africans.
An empty threat from the ministry, you put it. But as an economist,
that is how I see it. They are panicking, because we've been relying on this, freebies all this while, and relying on it has made our policymakers lazy one way or the other, which they've been sacrificing, policies that are supposed to enhance export and other things to bring in dollars, right? Rather, they're waiting for these free bees and all those that gives us dollars to buffer our exchange rate. That's why they brought in Bank of Ghana, in a way to tell you that if we go ahead to do that, the president goes ahead to assent the bill, we'll start having our problems economically through exchange rate and all those. I don't think so.
Professor Mensah, in a minute, Professor Mensah, what do you foresee to be the worst case scenario if the bill is assented to by the president and the Bretton Woods institutions really carry out their threats?
Yeah, the worst case scenario will be that economic recovery will delay. That is all. It's going to be delayed because we have to readjust the economy to make sure that we look inward. And for me, I'll be proud to have that rather than, allowing ourselves to be dehumanized by these Western powers.
Very well. Thank you very much, Professor Lord Mensah. We are grateful for your time speaking to us on Business Live. He's an economist. You're still watching Business Live. We are pausing for a breather. We'll be right back with more. Please stay. And welcome back to Business Life, and we'll continue with the rest of our stories. Government borrowed 24 billion cedis via Treasury Bills in February 2024. That is 29.3% higher than its target. Now, this follows strong investor appetite and softening yield quotes. More in this report.
Investors submitted total bids worth 24.1 billion cedis, while accepted bids were valued at 24 billion cedis. This sustained the government's quest to build a buffer for future auction shortfall as indicated in the 2024 budget. Indeed, the government has exceeded its 2-month target cumulatively by 12.4 billion cedis. This puts it on course to meet its 2024 target buffer of 31.8 billion cedis. Meanwhile, yields fell sharply in February 2024 as the strong money market liquidity outweighed any upside risk from the unexpected uptick in the January 2024 inflation. The 91-day yield eased by 131 basis points month on month to 27.3%.
The Ghana Trade Fair Company says it will deepen its support for local businesses to embark on export. This is on the back of a report by the Oxford Africa Women Leadership Institute that indicated that over 90% of women-led businesses have not been exported. According to its Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Agnes Edu, the Trade Fair Company will invest in e-commerce to support these businesses. She spoke to Joy Business at the 28th Ghana International Trade Fair.
The Ghana International Trade Fair aims to positively impact Ghana's economy by establishing an e-commerce platform. Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Trade Fair Company Limited, Dr. Agnes Edu, said the e-commerce platform will expand the operations of local businesses.
The 28th International Trade Fair is exactly that. It's a platform we create for small businesses to be able to thrive and grow. As you can see, when you look around the grounds, there are all things made in Ghana here. And this is a platform that we have created to make sure that Ghanaian businesses have an outlet and somewhere to go to showcase products and also to move theirs. Every Trade Fair Company Limited is a trade promotion, trade facilitation organization. So what we do is connect the small business to GEPA or to NBSSI by creating these unique platforms. This year's theme, I mentioned earlier, that it is e-commerce that we are focusing on. That is one way to support local produce.
Some vendors at the International Trade Fair encourage Ghanaians to support local products.
Normally, it helps my business. When we normally come here, I get a lot of orders. People come to order.
Okay, we are looking forward to see our customers to come in and buy the things. The things is affordable, it's very cheap, and we have reduced things to clear off so people to come in and buy for us.
The fair is poised to contribute significantly to SME growth through the integration of e-commerce into the country's business landscape.
Managing Director of OIB Bank, Daniel Cedi, has indicated that the bank will continue to engage its customers and staff through its quarterly health walk exercise. The bank organized the first health walk for the year, bringing together some of its customers. The following report has more.
The event drew a crowd of employees, businesses, and the general public, all united in their pursuit of a healthier lifestyle. Mr. Daniel Cedi, the managing director of OIB Bank, explained that the primary objective of the health walk is to promote physical activity and inspire individuals to prioritize their well-being.
You agree with me that the way our environment is and the way we go about our life, walking this distance is very good for your body. And that's what we seek to achieve, to create the awareness and the consciousness that we need to take care of our bodies. Many people will be sleeping on a Saturday morning, but most of the people who have turned up are actually also saying that, look, we think our body is very important to us, let's take care of it. And we believe that this has gone a long way to help improve the lives of our customers and our stakeholders. Like you're aware, last year we did 3. Our target is to do 4 every year, and so every quarter we'll do 1. So this is for the first quarter. We are hoping to do another one next quarter, and then there will be another one third quarter, and then the last one the fourth quarter. So hopefully we should do minimum 3 more before the end of the year.
Board chairman of the bank, Simon Patrick Che, also highlighted the importance of the exercise.
I'm very much encouraged by the outturn. It shows that our brand is gradually seeping into the minds of people. It's not only staff who have been here this morning, our customers are also here. And people who are prepared to do business have also turned up. So it tells you that our brand is gradually seeping through the minds of our customers.
You're still watching Business Life, and it is important we bring this to your attention about a missing person. She is Grace Maud Rabna Iduyao. She is 12 years and, of course, JHS1 student. Last seen was Friday morning by a neighbor who she told was going to see her teacher and has since not returned. She was spotted wearing black spotted top with glitter stones and a grey shirt. She's got pimples on her face and her height is 1.55 meters tall. And if seen, do well and call this number 0244 949 253 or 0541 739 034. Or you can call this number as well 0242 050031. I will repeat the numbers once again. If seen, do call this number 0244 949253, 0541 739 034, or 0242 050 031. And that's our part company here on Business Life with me, Pius Kojo Baka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. See you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.